Hey everyone, my name is Zach. I'm a 23-year-old competitive boulderer from Canada, currently living in Montreal. Welcome back to the COMPCLIMB training series, where I record most of my training, provide in-depth analysis of every session, and just chat about climbing with an emphasis on competition. So here we are back at Bloc Shop Hochelaga, and we are getting back on this boulder. So in the last episode, we had a session at Bloc Shop where I was a little bit fatigued, and we only put like a handful of attempts on this boulder just to kind of suss out the moves. Really, I shouldn't have even tried the boulder, but I couldn't resist touching it because it just looks so cool. So I hopped on it for a little bit, realized that it was too intense for that day, and basically didn't really stick a move. I stuck maybe one or two moves. And so this move that I'm trying here in particular, I really was like, how does this move even go? And then today I think I unlocked it. As you can see, I found this like bicycle beta. So I think I tried this move like just a few times, and I really couldn't come up with a foot sequence. And that's because this crimp that we had in our left hand is very blocked, and it doesn't allow you to toe hook it at all, which is probably by design. But I find a way to sneak my left toe hook inside of my arm, and it allows me to toe hook the sloper hold that the crimp is attached to. So that really unlocks the sequence that I hear a lot of people have tried to go foot first or campus, but this beta I think was really helpful. And then here, check out this first move. So this forearm bar that I am attempting here is actually beta courtesy of Toma, who, if you remember, was the guy who set us up with that working jug in the last episode while we were trying the red holds white tape. And what I had initially said to him was like, man, the first move of this black is really hard. And it's because this move is deceptively large. Like, to reach from the start hold all the way out to that crimp, your left arm becomes like super straight, and it's a really large move. And he said that it actually helps to go into a forearm position because it gives you just that extra couple centimeters of reach to do the move statically without having to like yank yourself all the way out to that crimp and hold a super intensive position. And he also hooked me out with this knee bar beta. So if you'll notice, I just did a knee bar between the two big slopers to go up to that left-hand crimp. Toma also told me to try that, and I didn't even think of that, and I don't know if I would have saw that beta on my own. And this is actually going to be a common theme on this boulder, especially when we get to session 2, when I try this boulder with the MCNAMEES. This boulder has so much micro beta that it actually took like a village to everybody contribute like a little bit of their own beta, and we all come together to like figure this boulder out. I had some clutch beta, the MCNAMEES had some clutch beta, and Toma had a lot of beta as well. And so there I just found a way to match the finish hold. You notice I actually kept like sort of a pincer between those two footholds to match. That beta was super tensiony though, and as soon as I did that, I didn't really think that I'd be able to do that from the start. I don't think I would have that much tension if I got there from the ground, so I wasn't sure if I could rely on that beta. And here I'm finally making it through the beginning for the first time. I found a way to make Toma's forearm beta work, but then we get to this part. So while I had figured out that the bicycle allows me to get into these two Gastons, they are both really slopey and bad holds, and working the left heel hook up is incredibly difficult and takes like a lot of tension, and it definitely feels really possible, but this foothold that we have our right on in the cave, like this little foot chip, it's not the greatest, and it just requires so much core to get this left heel hook up that sort of just working above the heel felt so hard that sort of kind of started to crush my dreams on this boulder. And I thought that this would just be too physically intense in order to get a send of the boulder. So I definitely knew that it was possible to, like, you know, get the heel up, lay back on the sloper, and work your way into the next sequence. But the amount of effort that would take and like physical exertion, I kind of had it in the back of my head that would just tire you out so much, especially from the start, that there'd be like no way that I would have the sort of physical capacity to do that on a send go and finish the boulder. So after this morning session of trying this boulder, I kind of was thinking, I don't think I actually will be able to send that boulder, but I'll try it again in the second session just in case. Like maybe I feel like crazy good in the second session and something just happens magically. And so that was the logic there. And it's also not that I was feeling bad in this morning session. I was feeling quite decent. I was just hoping, like, yeah, something magical needed to happen to be able to get a send on that boulder. So what I decided to do for the remainder of this session was try the black tapes around in the gym. The last time we had a session here before the last episode, I think was a while ago. So the gym was basically all new for me, and I had a lot of black tapes to get to, including this deceptive V11 that we're trying here. So this one I thought looked kind of chill. These holds all look decently positive, but this right hand little chip that we're grabbing is quite slopey, and it actually makes this move where we have to get our right heel hook up very difficult, because as soon as you start to get high on that hold, it goes to crap. And I kept falling, getting the heel hook up. And the little chip also started to get quite greasy. So I said, okay, let me sort of use a common theme that I have been realizing is super important with the friction on holds recently, which is to try to just put a few attempts on a boulder that is friction dependent. And if it's not going so well, go away, try something else that is maybe less friction dependent, like this boulder here is sort of just more powerful. And then that allows my skin to sort of reset, cool down a bit, not just be like so caught up in the boulder that we're working on. And yeah, sort of reset. And then maybe if we come back to that same boulder after trying one or two others, your skin actually might be stickier. So I decided to just embrace that and not keep repping out that V11. And this one that we are about to try here was quite confusing to me at first. So I'm kind of just putting like a wing it attempt on here. And I actually end up sort of intuiting a really cool move, just like by accident, which is where we jump up to this pretty decent sloper with our right hand and then catch the volume with the left. And then here, let me just mention, so I'm chatting to Caleb Thomas right now off camera. He's the head setter at the Bloc Shop gyms, and I just wanted to include a little clip of me talking to him for some context as I end up chatting to him mid-boulder in a second. So I'm making my way through this jump. I get up to this little crimper with the right hand, and then Caleb is like watching me, and I feel the need to tell him how greasy this hold is. It was really greasy. Bloc Shop Hochelaga in particular is a very popular gym, and it gets quite busy. So when a section of wall is old and is like about to be reset, the boulders can be quite difficult with the texture sometimes. But after I yelled down to Caleb that the hold was really greasy, he said, "Hey, that's not your problem, like figure it out." And so he snapped me back into the zone, and he was right. There was there was a better way to optimize on this move rather than trying to grab this like really bad crimp really hard. And then I kind of figured out here, and the trick is to just really press a bit more with the left hand. And I think I like twisted myself to the left as well so that I could get heel up and go nice and static for the finish hold. And that was a cool, tricky little V10. I like that one. And so now it was back to this boulder to see if I had regained any stick. And I felt like I did, for sure, a little bit. But then also on this attempt, something nice happens. So I think I tried this on my first attempt, this beta where I go to the crimp, and then I sort of immediately just wanted to put a left heel hook up here, and then I just kind of fell. But I never tried it again until this attempt, where obviously it works. And it's funny, I think this happens a lot, where I try a beta and I fall, and then I immediately try something else. And I think this boulder reminded me that I need to try beta twice before I give up on it. Okay, so let's do a quick rundown of this boulder. So obviously we start on this kind of slopey edge, and then we go up to this crimp that's blocked by another crimp. And then this left-hand crimp is pretty decent. It has an undercling, and then there's the foot chip that we're stepping on, obviously. And then these are the two slopers that are really, really bad. And this thumb catch here on the upper one is quite slopey and not the best. And then the first crimp is pretty in-cut. These next two crimps are kind of slopey and flat. And the finish hold is like also kind of a flat, slopey edge that's kind of decent. But anyway, this boulder is like the theme of the session for sure. And so I wanted to kind of feature a bit of a close-up of it. And as you can see, the MCNAMEES are going to be joining us during the session. And it was quite fun, actually. I didn't know the MCNAMEES were going to be at the gym. And so I went home between sessions and then came back, and they were at the gym and joined me while I was working this boulder, which was super, super sick, as we're going to notice. Like, these guys really, really pushed me during the session. And I also just need to mention right off the bat that the MCNAMEES were in the middle of their endurance training when they just decided to kind of ditch it for a little bit and sesh with me. So I just want you to keep in mind how ridiculous, how absolutely bananas their performance on this boulder is going to be, especially considering they were just in the middle of endurance training. Like, Kinder in particular was like inspiring on this boulder, and it was really, really motivating me and pushing me to just try my absolute hardest on this thing. So it was a really psyched session. So these guys haven't really touched this boulder before this session. I think they pulled on it a little bit. So they're just sussing out the moves, as you can see. And so this boulder is going to feature today's tip of the day, and it's something very subtle that happens on the last move, or like the last sequence of this boulder. And it's something that I actually noticed Kinder do on this attempt here. So if you remember in the morning, I kind of tried to go to the finish hold a few times and try to like hold a swing, right? Tried to cut my feet, and it just felt so hard because this move is like super spanned out, like reaching from this crimp to the finish, you're like way out like this, and it's so shoulder intensive. And meanwhile, this right hand crimp is like slopey that it just felt so hard to hold a swing, let alone from the start. Like, no chance. Like, maybe individually I could do it, but I kind of ruled it out initially because it just felt like there's no way I can actually send the boulder with this beta. But anyway, what we're about to see is Kinder hold this crazy foot cut on this last move, which when I'm watching this in person, my mind was just blown. Like, especially after trying it in the morning, I was like, how is he doing this? But then I also noticed what he does on this attempt as well. And basically, he has his right hand on this crimp. He goes into a 3-finger drag in order to do the last move. And I don't know whether this was intentional or not, but I was thinking about it and I thought, okay, why did he stick to the last move and do this? Like, is there a correlation, or is it just how he likes to grab holds? But if you think about it, when we're in such a splayed out position, we want to sort of be able to press, especially because our left arm is kind of the more important one, and that's the one we're loading, and the right arm is really just trying to get us into that position. It's sort of more of a press with the right arm and a pull with the left. And so a way that is really important to press with the right arm, or something that really helps, is if you think about it, by switching to a 3-finger drag, all of a sudden you can twist this hand quite a bit more in the direction that our loading hand is, and get a better press and shift our center of gravity more to towards our loading arm and away from the arm that's now becoming less important. Whereas, for example, if we were to try and keep our pinky on, all of a sudden we are twisting our hand back in this direction, thus pulling us away from our loading arm, and now we're kind of just in the middle of our shoulders where we're in this really intense position that is very difficult to hold. But if we just get that micro adjustment of ditching the pinky, which allows us to turn our hand a bit more and extend, now all of a sudden, instead of being in the middle of this really bad shoulder position, we're a little bit more loading on our left arm and sort of just pressing away with this arm. And this arm is now just acting as like a stabilizer so that we can hold the left, which is better and the more important arm in this situation. So this very micro adjustment, this is what was going on in my head while I saw Kinder do this with a 3-finger drag, and I wanted to attempt it. And ends up working for me in a few attempts, as we're gonna notice. And just the little bit of shifting our center of gravity to the loading arm by dropping the pinky and switching to a 3-finger to press really helps. So that's gonna be today's tip of the day, is if you have like a sort of shoulder buster move that's really splayed out, try ditching the pinky on whatever hold you're leaving so that it gives you a little bit more reach and extension to load the loading hand and arm that you're trying to grab. So yeah, that's today's tip of the day, and it really worked for me on this move, as we'll notice in a couple tries. So yeah, as we can see, he goes into a 3-finger drag with his right hand, and even on his left too a bit. And he holds this crazy swing, which even with this little trick, to make this move a bit better, it's still insane, like that he just does that pretty casually looking. And I still don't know if the 3-finger drag was intentional by Kinder, or if that's just how he naturally liked to grab the hold. Maybe I'll message him and ask him what he was thinking with that. And then check out that beta that I just tried there. So I think Guy's gonna stick it on this attempt, maybe, I'm not sure. But this is beta that Kinder did off camera, like right before I started the camera, because they started climbing like while I was warming up. Well, first let's check out this beta really working for me. So meanwhile, I do sort of still slow down and keep my feet for longer, but the 3-finger allows me to take the swing because the pincer method was just too tensionized and I felt myself losing it. So I said, okay, I need to commit to Kinder's foot cut, and the 3-finger drag really helped. But anyway, yeah, Kinder cracked this boulder wide open right before the camera started with the static beta to go to the last 2 slopers. And we're gonna be watching that sequence a bunch, so we'll get quite familiar with it. But anyway, here's the first ground attempt of the session from me. Now, I was feeling really good during this session. So you combine like feeling strong with the MCNAMEES psych and motivation, and everybody like figuring out beta like left, right, and center, and really cracking the boulder open. This was the time to do this boulder. And I guess I still haven't mentioned yet, also Kinder's doing this first move the hard way, let me just say as well. I also haven't mentioned yet that this boulder is coming down tomorrow, like when this is happening. So this is the last chance to do this boulder, which was like super intense because I couldn't just give it like another suss out the boulder session. I needed to do it now, which was really stressful because this boulder was so sick and I wanted to do it so badly. So like it was probably what should have normally taken 3 sessions to do this boulder compressed into 1, which made for such an intense session, as we're gonna see. So now Kinder's putting on some ground tries since he's like cracking the beta on this boulder wide open, and he is like, Kinder is like the master of this boulder. If he wasn't in the middle of training, he would have sent this for sure. So he finally sticks this hold from the first time from the beginning, this right hand, gets his knee bar, goes into the crimp, and you can just tell he's getting really, like the pump is like starting to compound. But all of a sudden he's like setting a high point on this bowler, and it's just like so motivating. Like I'm getting so fired up watching this, and I'm saying to myself like, dang, I want to do that too. Like I mentioned a few episodes ago at Bloc Shop when we did that yellow V13. I said that I hadn't tried that hard in a boulder in a while. I just topped it for sure. This whole session I was giving 110% effort attempts because I wanted to be Kinder so badly, and I wanted to make my way through that crux and start pushing a high point and get the send, obviously. And then here we got Guy figuring out the top sequence. So I was really struggling with Kinder's beta to go up left hand to this little screw on pinch and then out to the right. So here I find a bit of a sequence that sort of uses Kinder's beta with like keeping the foot, but is a little bit different. And so I do it on this attempt, but I don't know if it was actually better. And so I don't know which beta to stick to. And also, like I kind of just briefly mentioned, but like I said, the fact that Kinder is doing this first move without the arm bar and is just like pulling his way through the first move is also ridiculous. Like, that move is so big. And Kinder and Guy are absolute monsters. If you've missed out on any of the episodes where they have been featured, these guys are like world-class strength, like absolute monsters. Like obviously they do really well in competitions, and Guy has actually made a World Cup semifinal. But if you ever get to see these guys just session or climb in person, they do things that are just superhuman. And so these guys are like the perfect training partners to just push me and motivate me and have something to try and chase and bring out my absolute levels of try hard. But that being said, I am now on my own in this session at this point. They had to get back to their training, and they left me to my own devices to try and tackle this the send of this boulder. And so here I'm finally like starting to stick this move with Kinder's beta. There was like a couple micro adjustments that I made on the slopers that allowed me to stick the move out right. But yeah, I am also showing you all of these attempts from the ground because I want to just really portray the fight that I had with this boulder, especially after the MCNAMEES left, where I'm just putting on Sengos. This is like the biggest fight I've had with a boulder ever. I wanted to send so bad. The MCNAMEES were psyching me up so hard. I had all the beta. I knew all the moves went. And I was feeling strong too. But like after every attempt, like these are all 110% effort attempts. And so after every attempt, my body is just breaking down more and more and more. Here's a really good one. So listen, I stick that right hand crimp, and then my heel blows. I think I was gonna send it on that try. I swear. So obviously, like matching the finish hold is a story in itself, but I was not pumped at that point when I had the left hand crimp going up for the right. Oh gosh, that was it. I think I blew it on that attempt. And then here I have like another chance. I make it through the crux, foot slip. There's so many opportunities to fall on this boulder. And that's also what like makes it a white tape. And like I say this a lot with the white tapes at Bloc Shop, is just every move is hard. There are no easy moves. There are low percentage elements mixed in with physical boulders, and you just have to be fighting as hard as you can the whole way up. And that's what makes the Bloc Shop white tapes, and what makes them feel like such an accomplishment when you can actually take one down. So now this ends up being my last attempt on the day. My body is burning. I have now pushed myself so far beyond my limit, that I'm like running on pure adrenaline right now. I feel like I'm in a competition, and it is like so much fun. Like, are you kidding me? Like, this is what Montreal is all about, man. This is gonna keep happening. I'm gonna keep saying this, like, these little things to chase in training, even if it's just to try and get a send of like an epic 5-star block shop proj like this, it just allows me to try so hard in training. And so here I am back at like a high point. I am so pumped at this point. Like, now I'm pumped. The last time I got up here, I wasn't pumped, but you know, 3 max effort ground burns later, yeah, I started to pump out hard. I knew I couldn't set the heel hook, and I just like kind of gave like a last ditch effort where I just kept my feet low. But man, what an epic battle. This boulder was so sick. Thanks to the Block Shop setting crew for really putting the effort in with these white tapes. Like, they really take the time to fore on these boulders like really thoroughly, rather than just like slapping up a bunch of hard looking holds and hoping it goes. But yeah, like, thanks to them for like the quality control they put in with these boulders, because it is just so motivating for like, you know, me and the MCNAMEES to really try and chase these boulders in training and project the heck out of them. So that one was just out of reach. It was so close. I tried my absolute hardest, and this boulder was like absolutely perfect. Thanks again to the setting crew. So listen, I don't think I've actually ever broken my body that much in just a normal bouldering session than I did yesterday. So I absolutely needed a rest day. But we had already planned to meet up with Molly Dreyer, as you can see here. She's a friend of Maddie and mine. She's like a crusher from Ontario, and she was just visiting Montreal for like a few days, and she was here with her friend Alora, who we just met today. And so we had planned to meet up with them at Bloc the next day. And so I said, okay, I mean, I really need a rest day. If it was up to me, I absolutely would have just taken like an impromptu rest day, even though obviously I usually train 2 days on, followed by a rest day. And like the block shop day was just our first day on, so I would obviously usually just train another day. But after that ridiculously crazy session, I would have just taken an impromptu rest day. But I said, let's just go to Bloc and see if I can manage something. They have like a lot of slab and like vert and coordination style boulders, so maybe I could finagle some sort of session and just maybe have like a bit more of a fun, chill session with Molly and Alora and Maddie. And that actually ended up happening. We achieved that pretty well. As you'll see, we're gonna get on like some nice vert boulders that weren't, that really catered to like a broken body, which was very nice. And so also, we haven't been to Bloc in a little bit, I guess. The last time we were here was during the comp simulation day. So yeah, they just had a gym full of new boulders, which was super nice. We're all starting off on this yellow thing, which has got a spicy little toe/heel catch at the first move, which, if you know me, toe catches are my kryptonite. So this one was a good one to work on. All the girls were showing me how it's done. Maddie had stuck this move like right before the camera started rolling too, and was just trying to repeat it. So I was the last to stick the move, which I actually end up doing with the heel catch, which is usually how it goes with toe catches for me. You know, I am just bad at them that I always end up needing to use my heel. This has happened like a lot on the videos. So maybe I just need to start forcing the toe catches as toe hooks instead of cheating them with the heel. Yeah, cheating maybe is not so much cheating, because I think the taller you are, the more you can actually use a heel hook in a toe catch, just because it helps the move match your height a bit better. But anyway, here we are moving on to another nice vert boulder. This one was a tricky slab. And when we were first looking at this one, it sort of looks like the move that's becoming quite trendy in the comps these days, which is like the, step on the right foot here, hop the right foot over to the purple, and then catch the black volume again with your left as kind of like a pincer. But another very important aspect of comp style bouldering, especially these days, is being able to see this super trendy move, or like seeing what looks like a super trendy move, and being able to ask yourself, is this the setter kind of trying to trick me and say, hey, look at this, it looks like this foot hop move, but I actually just set a static move with this boulder, but I want to make you think that it's the foot hop. And then do you just get locked into trying the foot hop, especially during a competition? And now all of a sudden you just repped out this foot hop, which wasn't actually supposed to be like this, and wasted all your time never trying the static beta. And 2, can you actually break, like let's say that this boulder is supposed to be the foot hop. Can you break it and do it statically rather than doing the foot hop? Because even setters at the IFSC level sometimes might fail to really force a movement. And you'll see like sometimes World Cup boulders will get broken. So these are like 2 important elements to keep in mind with boulders like this. And as you can see, we are taking this to heart here while we're trying this boulder. And whether or not this was supposed to be the foot hop kind of move, we all decided that we could static it, and we were trying to static it. And it makes for a very precarious move. As you can see, this black volume is quite slippery. And the way we're actually able to sort of transition over and get our right foot over is we're like sort of sticking our thumb in a little screw hole. I think though you could actually just press on the volume to get the foot out, but the juicy little screw hole is just too useful, and so we're just using it anyway. And you'll notice I had some different beta than everyone else on the first move. I could not do it the way that the girls were doing it with the right hand stand up. And I had to do like a left hand plus foot stab, which I think was actually probably by design. It felt very natural when I tried it that way. And then here I get my right foot out, and I use my height to my advantage to match this finish hold. I actually had to core up for this last move here. Like I had to be like super rigid, like a plank of wood, in order to not tip away from the wall while I was trying to match that finish hold. So here I am trying a boulder that is not so vert. This one is on kind of like a gentle overhang, and this was like really where I felt like as soon as I started trying this one, my body just started crying immediately. And I thought, okay, maybe I shouldn't be trying this boulder, but then I stuck the jump move and it turned out to be like really cool, and I wanted to just put a couple more tries on it. But I was fully prepared to just fail on this V9 because it was really hurting. Any sort of pulling that I did on this day, especially with my upper body, was just excruciating. Especially since the black boulder, one of the most intense moves on it was compressing the 2 half moon slopers together in order to like set the knee bar and move up. The backs of my elbows were destroyed from just the intense compression over and over and over again. And so it was really difficult to do any sort of pulling with my arms today, which is why we are back on another slab, as you can see. And it was very nice that everyone else was down to just stick to slab for the majority of the session as well. And so this boulder was super fun. These volumes that we're stepping on, I don't know how old this boulder is, but these things are like glass. They're like dual text volumes. As you can see, we've been all taking some slips on them. And this boulder was just like, you're kind of pooping your pants on this move every time you're moving out to the left, hoping your foot doesn't slip. and the hold is like quite blind as well, which makes for a super cool balance over move. And fun little fact about this session we're having, I think, yeah, everyone that was a part of the session was at the high performance competition. So it was fun to have like a nice little session with a bunch of competitive athletes. I think Molly and Alora did quite well at the high performance competition as well. So they're looking good these days, and they are both Matt Chapman athletes too, which is a fun fact. So Maddie is actually, okay, Maddie's the second one to put the slab down. Molly actually did this one before we started the camera, and she's just like trying, I think she hops on it again just to get a little repeat of it. But yeah, here I am lagging behind again on the slabs. I think, oh yeah, okay. I finally stick this move here. But this foot match is like super precarious, and I didn't have my left foot left enough in order to have room for my right foot match. And then we're gonna see Molly get a nice little repeat of this boulder here. Super cash. These girls are all like really good at slab, and it actually made for a good session. It was similar to the MCNAMEES yesterday, kind of pushing me on the black boulder. They were all getting me psyched to try my best on the slab, but I could not quite make it happen on this purple thing. So hopefully this one is actually up the next time we come to Rose Block, because this is a good little techie slab that I'd like to revisit, put some more work in. I think that I really never felt comfortable on this boulder, and I could definitely use some more practice on it. And there are some other good slabs up at Rose Block too, so we'll have to come back soon, probably in the next episode, to have a session at Rose Block. So shout out to everyone that we climbed with in this episode. That was a lot of fun, climbing with some strong psych people. I'll link everyone's socials in the description if you want to go check them out and give them a follow. And also shout out to the Bloc Shop setting crew again for that legendary black boulder. That was such a fun experience. I had so much fun breaking my body on that boulder and just trying harder than I've ever tried before. And so obviously after this Rose Block session, I had to go do my second session, which was a workout. And I went and did it at Bloc Shop Hochelaga. And it was super painful, by the way. Obviously my body was very broken, and so the hangboard and the workout was a nightmare. But as I was doing my workout at Bloc Shop, I was obviously watching them reset the new sector. And so the black boulder was gone, so sad. But what was not sad was in its place, a new mega white tape was being built. And this time I gotta come and not try it the day before it's getting taken down. And it looks super, super cool. So I'm very psyched, and I'm sure we'll be back to Bloc Shop very soon to try this new looking white tape. So you can look forward to that. Insert catchy video outro here.